Hello, today we're going to be talking about SCCM application catalog, the things you need to have installed, prerequisites, and the components that you need to have in place in order to successfully install the application catalog. So in this video we're going to go over all of the things, and then we're going to do a quick deployment on how to create a deployment that will show up in the application catalog and how that's used. With that, let's just get started. Alright, so we're in the SCCM console. Now typically most people or most companies will install the application catalog on a separate server, and there's some components that you need. There's IIS components that's required, as well as some application point that you need to install. But on my lab environment, I'm just going to install in the primary site server. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but again, it's a small environment, so it shouldn't be too bad. So with that, first thing I want to do is go look at the IIS components that are installed, because there's some components you need. So we're going to go look at the add features. Now I've already I'm just confirming some components. And as you can see, there are multiple areas here. Let me just kind of make this a little bit bigger. There you go, so you guys can see. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay, there's a couple components here that I see I need. Alright, we're going to go ahead and install those other components. It's required for the application catalog. Otherwise you'll get some errors. I'm going to pause the video while it's installing those components. It has successfully installed those components for the application catalog. So now the next thing I want to do is install the role. Go to administration. I think I'm going to put this on a separate server rather than my primary site. Let's just go ahead. Now the two things you want to add here is the application catalog web service point and application catalog website point. So you're going to add those two. You don't have to do them one at a time. You can add them both. And then you want to do HTTP. And then you want to, of course, HTTPS is recommended. We have to change some settings, which is fine. We'll do that afterwards, which is fine. So I'm going to give it I like blue. We'll leave it at blue. You can, well, maybe I can do orange. Yeah, let's do orange. It's unique. Blue's overrated. Alright. Alright, so it's going to start installing those components, and it will take some time. Now we're going to go over to client settings. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so application catalog. Well, we'll just do automatically detect, which is fine. We'll change that to yes. Yes. And then we're going to give it alright, I think this is all we need. I'll just do it that way. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to pause this video. Those are the components you want to add in the configure client settings. And when you go to properties, I'll just, and when you go to computer agent, so you want to configure these components right here. Default application catalog website points and the default application catalog website Internet Explorer trusts its own. And so then it uses Silverlight, so obviously you want to say yes to that. And that's basically, and then whatever you want to call it. And, well, this is actually the software center, which is fine. I didn't configure that from before. So I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to come back once it's finished installing the components. Okay, the application catalog is finished installing. Now, it didn't take too long. I did put this on my primary site server. So there's a couple log files that you can look at to validate that the application catalog has finished installing. So they're the AWE. These two log files are the ones that are related to application catalog because it's using the web service. Now, granted, there's a couple errors, but there's no issues. As you can see, it succeeded with success code 0. And then the other one is the service. Oh, that's the one I already had open. The other one, which is the second one, and it goes through and it now, even though this is a red, it did complete successfully, as you can see. Those are two log files. And then if you go to the monitoring section and go to site status, and you can see the two components here, and they're green, so they're okay, as you can see. And then component status, there are a couple of component status here. I'm trying to find where they are. Here's one of them. So that one is good. It's okay. And I think that is the only one. Yep. So if that's okay, then you're good to go. Now the way to get to the application catalog, now I've gone ahead and launched this on one of my client machines. So let me bring that up. As you can see, it's the your server name with the fully qualified name /CM application catalog. As you can see here, it's my fully qualified server name plus CM application catalog. And then when you open this up, you'll have the application catalog. Now it uses Microsoft Silverlight to get this experience here. As you can see, I selected orange because that's what I wanted to select, orange, and then here's your application stuff. And then, so basically, now as of 1806, supposedly, now application catalog is still supported, but Microsoft is moving away from the Apple catalog and start using the Software Center as the primary, you know, as a primary way to deploy the applications to the user or device. So they're kind of moving away from this experience. So I just wanted to point that out, but it's still supported. So if you still have applications in the application catalog, you're going to probably want to start moving them over to the Software Center versus using the application catalog, depending on how many applications you have here. But those of you that, you know, and I just kind of wanted to show you one simple deployment on how things show up here. Now again, when you have installed for a user, typically things would show up in this application catalog, versus if you had installed for a system, those applications would then be visible in the Software Center. So that's the application catalog. That's kind of like the basic steps on how to install the application catalog. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and create a simple deployment for the application catalog, how to get things loaded there. So basically, I'm going to create a deploy for user. I'm going to, no, I don't want to do that one. I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to create a new package or a new application. Let's see what I want. Let's, yeah, let's do Google Chrome. Why not? Oh. I don't know what version. So this time, instead of install for system, I'm going to say install for user. Oop. Install for user. That's fine. I'll ignore that error for right now. Now typically, historically in the past, whenever you selected install for user, those deployments would always show up in the software catalog. Whereas if you did install for a device or system, those applications would then show up in the Software Center. So now we're going to close. So this is a, that's fine. I'm going to just rename this to user. Okay. Alright, so we're going to do this. Now under, here we have some users. Now you can create a user collection, but I think for me, I'm going to install it on this user image admin. Alright, so now I'm going to go over to deploy. Well, it's actually already replicated to all of the DPs, so let me just make sure. Alright, I'm going to distribute the content first. Go ahead and monitor that content status. Now this shouldn't take long because it's a small package. There we go, see? We're done. So now we're going to go ahead and deploy this to a user. And let me create a simple collection first. I'm going to go to one moment. Let me pause this for a second. Alright, so create a user collection. I'm going to go over to a user collection. I'm going to create a user collection. I'm going to give it and then I'm going to give it all users as a limiting, direct rule. I'm going to call it image admin. So let's see what that. I'm going to pause for a second. Alright, I was able to get the user collection created. I went to user collection, create a user. I use a limiting collection, all users, and it's basically a direct rule. And I added a couple of users in here. So now what I want to do is deploy that app. Since this is more about the application catalog than user device and creation, user and or device collection creation. So anyway, so I'm going to go back over to the, we have that user deployment. It's not being deployed now. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on deploy. I'm going to go ahead and select that user. Because it's already there. Now again, it's going to be available. That's fine. Alright, so I'm going to select that one. We don't have an operations manager, so skip that. Alright, so now this is a install for user application versus an install for device. So now, go ahead to users, my user collection. Now again, this is a user kind of collection, so it's a little bit different. You know, you can't like do, you know, the same kind of stuff you did for device collection. As you can see, it doesn't let me do machine policy update because it's not a device collection. This is a user-based collection. So now it should be in my application catalog. So I'm going to go to my Windows 10 machine. It may take I'm going to pause. I'm going to wait for it to show up in the console. I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm logged in with a different account here. So now I'm going to go ahead and log off on this machine. And I'm going to sign in with one of the accounts that has the application deployed to. So I'm going to go ahead and the other user, I'm going to go ahead and desktop user. Oop. Alright, let me try a different account. There you go. So now, once I log in, once the desktop shows up, I'm going to go to the application catalog and you'll see that the Google Chrome should be listed there. And I'll also show you that the application that I created for install for user will not show up in the software center, only in the application catalog. So I'm going to give this a few minutes and I'll be right back. Alright, so now I'm logging into the application catalog by putting the fully qualified name plus CM application catalog. So now I'm going to log in with that image admin account. And as you can see, it didn't take the, there you go, there's the Google Chrome. Now I can click on install. And if I go to the software center, let me go find it. Oh, I go the other way. There we go. Now, as you can see, because I created it install for application, it does not show up in the software center. It only shows up in the application catalog. As you could see, it's right here. So that's the difference between the install for user and install for device or system. Now, since Microsoft is going away with this application catalog and only using the software center, here's how we can get this user-based app in the software center without having to go to the application catalog. I just kind of wanted to show you the difference between when you create these applications, when you set them up as whether you configure them for install for a system or install for a user. If you select install for user, it will only show up in the application catalog. So that means all the applications that you created, if you had this catalog and you've been running this for a while and you created them all for install for a user, you're going to have to change them all to install for a system and then apply that to a user collection. So I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. I'm going to make it available. Now it may not show up here. I'm going to give it a few minutes. I'll be right back. Now, as you can see, because Microsoft is going away with the application catalog, my Google Chrome was there as well as my 7-zip. So, you know, so anyways, I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of kind of how things used to work and how things are moving forward at this point. So, as you can see, now, regardless if it's installed for user and if it's installed for device, it will then now show up in the software center with this new version. If you have an older version, this would have only showed up here and this would have only showed up in the application catalog. So that's basically it. And then the user can go ahead and install those applications. Although I don't like the way it looks in here, I mean, you just click on this, new, then they can click on install and do all that kind of stuff in the software center because that's where everything's moving now. Again, so they'll see a whole list of all their applications here. The catalog was a little bit nicer, cleaner. So anyways, that's kind of where things are at. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel. Again, there's going to be a lot more content coming your way. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.